The Emperor's New Clothes. There once lived in a despotic kingdom two rather frustrated revolutionaries, Maurice, with a background in theater, and Mo, who was an artist. Together they longed to make the oppressed masses aware of the oppressive nature of the oppressive regime under which they labored, and the role of the oppressive media in their oppression. Fortunately, fellow revolutionaries were responsible for the actual wording of the manifestos. Once the OMs, oppressed masses, were made aware of their invisible bonds of the OMM, oppressive mainstream media, that held the OMs in bondage, they endlessly reassured each other that the OMs would spontaneously cast those bonds asunder and in so doing create a free new world. And so they hatched their plot, which hinged upon the fact that in this particular kingdom, at this particular time, there was an emperor, who was quite vain about his clothes and personal appearance, and always insisted that his clothes were the height of fashion. And not surprisingly, his loyal subjects, who had long lived under the capricious rule of an absolute monarch, uniformly reinforced this particular opinion with loud hosannas of praise. So one day, the two seditious revolutionaries, Mo and Maurice, posing as successful performance sculpturiers, approached the prince. Utilizing the skills honed in getting grants from the hitherto stingy National Glass Council and Royal Chiropractic Society, they soon convinced the prince that they had a wonderful new secret fabric that made anyone who wore it the epitome of fashion. So smooth were they as talkers, as tailors, they shined. Maurice and Mo soon convinced the emperor that in his new clothes he was indeed the most handsome example of manly madness in the kingdom. Eager to display the prowess of his new fabric and dressed in his new clothes, the prince called for his closest sycophants. "Tell me, trusted advisers, am I not the most manly of manliness in my newest of clothes?" demanded the emperor, displaying himself before them. "Oh, yes, sire, most manly indeed," chorused some advisers. "Turn around, let us see more," said others. "Meow," purred the most well-dressed. In the corner, Maurice and Mo discreetly reminded the emperor of the power of the media in displaying all matters of fashion and style. "Cancel all that is on the media, for I must display my new clothes for all to see," demanded the emperor. "At once, sire," the courtiers chorused. In their corner, Maurice and Mo pointed out to the emperor that with a live audience, the impact of his new clothes would be magnified. "Good point, Maurice and Mo. Hold, minions, and take me to the largest sound stage in the land and fill it with adoring subjects. Preempt all that is to be on tonight, for tonight I will be the show, and the people will see only me and realize once again that I am the epitome of manly madness and fashion." At once, sire," said the underlings as they scurried to do their master's bidding. And thus all the media was alerted and summoned to the largest sound stage in the land. All other programming had been preempted, and all across the kingdom, families nestled in front of their sets, eager to see their emperor and his new clothes. After an amusing opening monologue by a well-known late-night comedian and a rather pointless musical number, it was time for the emperor and his new clothes. With a great fanfare, the curtains parted, and there was the emperor in his new clothes. And all shouted at home and in the studio audience loud praises for the emperor's new clothes. Eventually, the tumult died down, and there was heard the voice of a child in the studio audience, who happened to be standing rather close to an open mic. "But, Mama, he's wearing no clothes." "Hush, child," said her mother. "His Majesty is quite buff and manly, and I, for one, like the show." And the mother was not the only one. For soon the kingdom renewed its praises of its emperor and his daring fashion sense even louder than before. And this time the sounds of flattery were touched with more than a hint of sincerity. After a few more dispirited attempts at revolutionary performance sculpture, Maurice and Mo soon got out of the revolution fermenting business. Maurice found work at a large entertainment conglomerate and soon was in charge of designing rides and spectacles for theme parks around the world. Mo ended up in academia, amazing all with his ability to deconstruct almost any work of fiction into a symbol of oppression. As for the OMs, they never seemed to tire of looking at their emperor in his new clothes. An interest nearly doubled after his marriage to the voluptuous empress and her public display of her new clothes. And the OMM never seemed to tire of showing either of them either. And the emperor became inspired by his magical clothes to maintain an excellent level of physical fitness, and thus ruled for many, many, many more years. More years, in fact, than he would otherwise have lived. The moral: don't be too clever and overthink things, and besides, people like to see other people naked in public, especially if everyone else seems to think it's okay, and even more especially if the person in question is basically hot.